federal government says it will ensure quick access to single-digit loans for small businesses. The Central Bank of Nigeria sets 15,000 naira transaction limit for contactless payment. Oil takes up as drop in U.S. crude and gasoline stocks exceeds view. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. Good to have you join us at this time, and I'll start by saying Eid Mubarak to our Muslim brothers as the celebrations cut across all sectors of society and the world at large. I will start by telling you that the Central Bank of Nigeria has announced new transaction limits for contactless payments in the country, effective from June 27, 2023. According to the CBN's guidelines on contactless payments in Nigeria, contactless payments through accounts or wallets in Nigeria will have a transaction limit of 15,000 naira and a daily cumulative limit of 50,000 naira. This means that customers can make contactless payments of up to 15,000 per transaction and up to 50,000 per day without entering their PIN or biometric verification. The circular was signed by Musa Jimo, the Director of Payment Systems Management Department of the CBN. The move is aimed at enhancing the security and convenience of contactless payment, which use technologies such as near-field communication and quick response codes to enable customers to pay without physical contact with merchants or payment terminal. However, the higher value contactless payments that exceed these limits, customers will be required to provide appropriate verification and authorization, such as their PIN or biometric data. The CBN says for these transactions, the existing Know Your Customer, that's the KYC requirements and limits on the electronic payment channels will apply. The contactless payments above the stipulated daily cumulative limit of 50,000 will have to be conducted using contact-based technology such as inserting or swiping the card on the payment terminal. Now, partnership, the PanAfrican settlement systems is working in collaboration with Africa's central banks to provide a payment and settlement service to which commercial banks and licensed payment service providers across the region can connect as participants. Afrexim Bank and the African Union first announced PAPs at the 12th Extraordinary Summit of the African Union held on July 7, 2019 in Niamey, Niger Republic, therefore adopting PAPs as a key instrument for the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Further, its 13th extraordinary session held on December 5th, 2020, the Assembly of the African Union recommitted and instructed the Afrexim Bank and AFCFT Secretariat to finalize, among others, work on the Pan-African payment and settlement systems. The 35th ordinary session of the Assembly of the AU further directed the FCFTA and Afrexim Bank to deploy the system to cover the entire continent. And Nigeria's fiscal gains from subsidy removal are estimated to be 3.9 trillion naira in 2023 and more than 21 trillion naira between 2023 and 2025. The World Bank made a projection in its latest Nigeria Development Update released Tuesday. Neka Oko was present at the unveiling and now reports.
The June 2023 edition, titled Seizing the Opportunity, is particularly timely given the current economic trend in the country. It noted that while the removal of the petrol subsidy and foreign exchange management reforms are crucial measures to begin to rebuild fiscal space and restore macroeconomic stability, they should be accompanied by compensatory actions to mitigate the short-term impact on the poor.
There's also a need to restore the confidence of investors. And that's going to be a very challenging task between, restoring the confidence of investors. Already one sees signs of this in capital markets.
That aspect of the proposed cash transfer program is being very well taken care of, I assure you.
The report is particular on restoring macroeconomic stability by increasing non-oil revenue as well as reducing inflation through a sequenced and coordinated mix of trade, amongst other reforms.
These recent reforms are going to have a pronounced positive impact on macro stability and on growth. So we've upgraded GDP growth projections by about 0.5 percentage point for this year, more than a percentage point by 2025. Inflation will increase this year, but then as of next year, we'll see inflation beginning to decrease.
The key is unleashing the private sector, giving them the right policies and the right enabling environment to thrive.
A fiscal savings of approximately 2 trillion naira in 2023, equivalent to 0.9% of GDP, is expected to be achieved with subsidy out of the way. In Abuja, Neka Uku.
And the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has disclosed its plans to fast-track access to single-digit loans for MSMEs in Nigeria. Vice President Kashim Shettima disclosed this in a message marking the 2023 World Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, that is the MSMEs. In his message, the Vice President said the Tinubu administration recognizes the vital role small businesses play in Nigeria's economy and is committed towards their development. He urged Nigeria's small business owners that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is their partner and is here to make life easier for business owners in Nigeria. MSME's multiple shocks, crises, geopolitical tensions, and pandemics have disturbed the global working environment for entrepreneurs and micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs. As the world marks Global MSMEs Day, policies that strengthen capacities and support MSMEs development, as well as provide entrepreneurship opportunities for women and youth, are being canvassed. Muplang Dakok reports that Nigeria also has a single-digit funding on the way for MSMEs through the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, which is SMEDEN.
Every year, June 27 is marked to give marks to the role of micro, small and medium enterprises in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs), as well as recognize their contribution to the global economy. The business environment has been a mixed grill of opportunities and challenges served on the same plate. Queen Peters is a small business owner who, like many others, is battling with the various challenges faced by budding MSMEs who, based on United Nations data, account for up to 90% of businesses and 60 to 70% of jobs worldwide.
First of all, the light issue, it's a very, very big challenge for us. The loan, getting grants from the bank.
As the day is being celebrated, young entrepreneurs from across the country have been brought together to showcase their businesses, the products of their personal drive, innovation, and creativity.
What we do instead is to excite the imagination ability of young people to be able to perceive opportunities.
This year, attention is also focused on governments initiating favorable policies.
Government can do more in terms of supporting small-scale businesses by introducing policies, whether it be tax breaks or debt forgiveness.
Government is also set to launch a number of initiatives targeted at the growth and development of MSMEs as they contribute 48% to GDP in Nigeria.
I know that there is a single-digit interest funding that is on the way, but when you get the funds and you don't have the know-how, it means you won't be able to use the fund well. So we are working assiduously to build their capacity.
It is evident that there is a global need for more opportunities for small businesses to thrive. Hence, this year's celebration has the underlying expectation to create more impetus for MSMEs to become better actors in the global business space. In Abuja, Muplang Dakok.
Yesterday was Global Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Day. As we know, MSMEs plays an important role in the national economy by providing various goods and services, creating job opportunities, etc. It also contributes 48% of the national GDP and accounts for 96% of businesses and 84% of employment. By all standards, MSMEs serve as major backbone for all economies. And on the program today, we will be looking at issues affecting MSMEs in Nigeria and ways to strengthen these aspects of the economy. And joining me to discuss this is Onesi Lawani. He is the Chief Strategy Officer to the Director General, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria. Mr. Onesi, you're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you so much.
Okay, great. We have a new administration in place and a new policy direction in terms of Forex has been welcomed. How is the MSME segment of the economy reacting to this development?
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me, having me here this afternoon. Like you know, I work with this Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, and we have over 39.6 million enterprises that we coordinate. One of the big challenges that they've always had has always been access to funds. We are aware that the funding gap for the micro, small and medium enterprises presently stand at almost 158.6 billion dollars. And we also know that there are funding opportunities from the commercial banks and some development banks. But we are also aware that most MSMEs have not been able to access this fund. And when you meet SMEs or SME operators and you ask them for maybe what are their major challenges, the MBS survey that we did in collaboration with MBS in 2020, which was released in 2021, indicated that the topmost challenges that MSMEs face revolve around power, and followed by finance, then the tax system, and you now talk about the insecurity that that was so much a challenge. Now, in the issue of funding or access to fund, we are quite happy as an agency that coordinates the development of the micro, small and medium enterprises that the government is interested in assuaging this challenge, in attending to this challenge faced by the MSMEs, especially as it concerns funding. On our own as an agency, we have several interventions, we have several programs, several initiatives that we are trying to see how we can support the MSMEs so that we can reduce the mortality rate of this subsector. As an agency, we were not established to provide fund, but having understudied this system, having been in the MSME space for over 20 years now, we have become concerned, and the agency had to come up with several initiatives such as the matching fund. Just like the intervention that is being proposed, the matching fund essentially is an initiative that seeks to work with development partners, commercial banks. They match the fund that we place with them, and these funds are given to entrepreneurs that are in business for a reasonable rate. It could be within the single digit or slightly above, but it's an initiative that we are trying to see that will increase or will move, will transit most of these micro enterprises into the next category of their operations.
Okay. Mr. Onesi, you mentioned some of the challenges of the MSMEs, to include issues of funding, which has always been a key militating factor. You also mentioned the issue of power, which we know is there. And then you also mentioned the issue of the tax system as another issue. But one key issue I think you've left out is the issue of capacity building. Some of these MSMEs look for funding to run their businesses without actually having the capacity, the technical know-how to get their businesses to where they should be. And this has affected our export levels. You hear from the NEPC talking about the Nigerian Export Processing Commission talking about issues of our products, particularly agro-related products, being rejected in the European Union because, one, we don't follow quality. So where is the place of value addition? Where is the place of capacity building as one of the mandates of SMEDAN?
Yeah, I just told you that the survey as carried out by the National Bureau of Statistics, that means we are having contact engagement with the MSME. So from their own eyes, they will list all those things for you as the challenges that they are facing. But from our own end, in as much as we know that there is a funding gap, in as much as we know that there are other challenges that are facing them, we are also aware that capacity building or there's a poor knowledge of enterprise management, proper enterprise management with most of the MSMEs that we have in the country. For instance, the agency is trying to see how we can transit most of the very informal entrepreneurs to being formal. I'll tell you this. Unfortunately, we have 39 million plus MSMEs in Nigeria, but I can comfortably tell you that most of these 39 million entrepreneurs or enterprises are owned or operated by people that we regard as necessity entrepreneurs. Necessity entrepreneurs in the sense that they just took up that enterprise line because there's no other thing to do. But what we're trying to do is to see how we can convert some of all these necessity entrepreneurs into opportunity entrepreneurs, where they have the skill. Basically, from our own end, we look at an entrepreneur as somebody that's got the ask capacity. The ask simply means ability and attitude to run a business, and ability and attitude covers the capacity building you're talking about. The S talks about the skill, the need to acquire the necessary skill to run that particular enterprise, and the knowledge to run an enterprise. So when you have this combination, under this ask concept, you have most of all these issues that can fail an entrepreneur to run successfully. So there's always that need, no matter the level you are operating in as an entrepreneur, there's always that level for your capacity to be built. This is where we come in. We identify your need. The capacity need for a nano entrepreneur is different from the micro, so also the one that is operating as a small business and as a medium enterprise. So we identify these gaps and we see how we can come in to attend to them to help them grow. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that point. Mr. Lawani, you are the Chief Strategy Officer of SMEDAN. Now with the removal of your subsidy, you hear MSMEs say it's difficult operating their business as a result of availability of power. Now cost of power could see the increase in premium motor spirits. You're talking about petrol. So what strategies are you putting in place to ensure that these MSMEs survive without necessarily passing the bulk of the cost effect to you and I being the consumer?
Yeah, I always want to work with fact. We did a survey and we found out that energy, when you talk about energy, over 85% of MSMEs in Nigeria actually use alternative sources of power for up to like 8 hours. Then if you compute that, you see that there's no way a typical Nigerian micro, especially a nano enterprise, will be competitive globally. With the removal of this fuel subsidy, that even further compounds their condition. But we are aware of this. In the long run, this subsidy removal is going to be positive on MSME space, within the MSME space. But for now, what are we doing as an agency? We know that MSMEs are faced with the challenge of workspace, challenge of adopting or acquiring recent technology to produce. So what the agency is doing currently is converting our 23 industrial development centers into common processing centers. What do I mean? Common processing centers is identifying a cluster that is around the state where the IDC is located and providing an environment, a facility equipped with all the current equipment so that these entrepreneurs can just walk in, produce whatever it is they want to produce and pay a token. The token is just to ensure that the facility is sustainably managed, and they can just go out and couple whatever it is they've produced in the common processing facility. For instance, in Abuja, we have common processing facility for garment manufacturers. We have common processing facilities for those people that are in furniture. The facilities we have here now is about the best globally, and we are looking forward to how MSMEs that are in the furniture making, in garment making, can take advantage of it, so that it remove the cost of acquiring workspace, having to buy diesel, having to buy equipment, and all they just need to do is just walk in, produce whatever they want to produce, and they couple it together, and they can sell or take it to their market directly.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Onesi Lawani, for the insight as to what the agency is doing, talking about SMED, to ensure that MSMEs don't just survive, but they get to thrive. And I happen to be a witness to this common processing centers where you talk about furniture making as well as garment making. We're going to be following up to ensure that the small business holder is able to not just survive, but to thrive. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us at this particular point in time. We're going to keep up these conversations going forward.
Thank you so much. I deeply appreciate this.
Moving on, gold drops to more than 3 months low as traders await Powell. Let's see how other commodities are trading around the world. Oil was flat Wednesday after an industry report of a larger than expected drop in U.S. crude inventories suggested robust demand and helped offset worries over further interest rate hikes. Crude stocks fell by about 2.4 million barrels, and market sources says citing data from industry group American Petroleum Institute. Ahead of official data from the Energy Information Administration, Brent crude was flat at $72.24 a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate U.S. crude gained 2 cents to $67.75. European markets climb after breaking or losing streak. Siemens Energy up 5%. Let's get to see an update on the global stocks from Neka Oko.
European markets climbed on Wednesday after tentatively breaking their losing streak at the end of Tuesday's session. The DAX rose 0.86%, with UK's FTSE topping 0.69%, and the French CAC gained 0.87%. Asia-Pacific markets on their part were mixed. In Japan, the Nikkei 225 rebounded more than 2% after 3 straight days of losses, crossing the 33,000 mark and closing at 33,193.99. In contrast, the Shanghai Composite was down marginally to end the day at 3,189.38, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index reversed earlier losses to climb 0.3% in the final hour of trade. In the US, stock futures inched lower Wednesday as traders digested a broad market rally in the previous session. The Dow Jones Industrial Average futures dipped 26 points, S&P 500 declined marginally, and Nasdaq 100 futures lost 0.18%. Trading in Africa was skeletal this Wednesday as most markets were closed for the Eid celebration.
This is where we end this edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on NTA's channel. Business Express returns Thursday at 9:30 a.m. I'm Benny Adam saying, Barka da Sallah, and God bless Nigeria.